you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music.
Nicolas Cage is probably one of our generation's definitive actors.
Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man, Andy Gillard here. Hope everyone is keeping well in the world right now.
Oh, hi everyone. Matt Guy here. Hope everybody is fantastic.
Oh, hi, Matt. You know what? I couldn't help myself. That's why I had to put it out on Twitter because, I mean, the fact that people started putting quotes on straight away. But yeah, this is going to be one. I mean, this might get our biggest listens ever. Who knows?
Well, like last...
Hello,
yeah.
by the way.
It was either last year or the year before, I tweeted out a picture of I'm watching The Room and tagged in Tommy Wiseau, who retweeted it or liked it, or maybe both, I don't know. And I think that might be our most popular tweet that we've ever done because just the amount of likes and and literally all I'd done was, oh, it's time for my yearly rewatching of The Room, and then put a picture of the TV screen. So there's nothing really that interesting in this part of the tweet. And yeah, it's popular, which says a lot about this film, really, doesn't it, when you think about it, that it's got this massive audience and I don't say it's an underground film, but like, I don't think it ever played in any cinemas back in 2003 outside of LA, as far as I'm aware. I don't think it got like any release other than that one theatre on that one night. So it's kind of outstanding. Matt, you hadn't seen this film before. You've heard us talk about it, and obviously it is massively memed.
Yep.
So, how were you feeling going into this?
Like, I knew about the Disaster Artist and I knew, like, it existed. It's just one of those things, like, Stu's going to hate this, but, like, I've not seen any of the Lethal Weapons, but I know they exist. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those where, like, I'm sure it's been done on Family Guy and all sorts, and I was really intrigued because I didn't know if it was just weird or it was just bad or both. And it's funny that you use the term underground because that's exactly where it belongs. But yeah, I just did not know what to expect going into it with all of, like, the hype. Well, I suppose hype is a word, but the conjecture around it beforehand, I did not know what to expect.
Yeah,
but you are a lot younger than us, though. When you think about Lethal Weapon, I mean, Lethal Weapon was on telly all the time when we were really, like, in our teen years. And obviously, I love them films for what they are anyway. But and the first one is a Christmas film in the same way the Die Hard is, so it's almost time. There you go. Perfect timing. You can watch it without any guilt.
Shane Black film as well, so it's definitely worth a watch. The first one is excellent.
I accidentally watched a Hallmark Christmas film the other day, by the way.
Accidentally.
Well,
This is how it started.
so I was in York and Sam was getting ready and I don't mind saying, taking her sweet time. And there was just a film on and they ended up just pretty much watching nearly all of it. And it just followed just the script. Exactly how it should have been. She goes back to the town that she used to live in. She was in the big city. She takes her big city boyfriend with her, who's got to decide whether the hotel that her dad runs is still worth keeping open or not. And the big city bigwigs want to buy it and make it into condos. He ends up falling in love with it. She ends up wanting to stay there to pursue art. There are kids involved. There's a big town fair. And he ends up not wanting to work in the city anymore. They fall in love and Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. It was just it's so bad.
I was going to say, I've seen that one. And then I thought, actually, I probably haven't seen that one. It is literally that every single one is exactly the same.
This is like the one that I watched the other day when we were talking about Dean Cain. And you said, I watched that one. I don't think you have, because we were talking about it, because it's got the Melissa Joan Hart in as well.
Yes. I think I have, because I think I've seen all of Melissa Joan Hart's Christmas films. Just about One Lonely Christmas, ploughing through all of them. And JH is, it was excellent.
I think a lonely Christmas ploughing through Melissa Joan Hart would be very unlonely, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be a half-decent Christmas, I think.
I don't even know how I'm going to find this film. This is the annoying thing.
You've got no chance. Unless you go back through what the Hallmark TV listings for last week.
Christmas Lodge, maybe. Have a quick look. No, that's not her. So yeah, that's just what I mean. Like it literally, I've described the script that it could fit the bill for nearly any film. There's no one recognisable in it. I don't know, but yeah, it was terrible.
I'm almost certain, like the cover of the poster with her with her arms folded like that, wearing probably a red jumper, and the guy in a green shirt is what I'm pretty much assuming the cover will be.
Yeah, I don't know how. This is my life aim now to find him. In fact, what day did I go? What channel was it on? That'll be the. If I can find the TV guide for the day that I went.
Channel 5 do a lot of those Hallmark crap, so there's a good chance it might have been 5.
It would have been on. Whatever. What were we watching the night before we went to bed? Oh fuck! I mean, we were watching like Celebrity Gogglebox, so that'll be like channel E4 or whatever it was.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, talking amongst yourselves, what I find is Christmas.
You know what? This is what happens. Like this is what 3 years ago when Andy didn't wouldn't even put a tree up in his house, and now look at him. He might as well get them little baubles on his beard, because we know it's going to happen eventually.
That's not happening, sir.
That's a line crossed, isn't it?
If I had a beard, if I could grow a beard, I'd do it, obviously. But I can't, so I'm going to live through you.
You, mate. Have you watched any Christmas Hallmark yet, Stu? Because it's not the 1st of December at the time of recording, so are you there yet?
Oh, I'm always there, man. Yeah, obviously it's straight after the 12th is the weekend of Remembrance Sunday. After that, it's all systems go, but I did leave it a little bit later, so I did do it Thanksgiving week, so I speak for our American friends. But yeah, the only one I've watched is Best Christmas Ever on Netflix so far, which is worst Christmas ever. Even for these films, this one is the dirt worst. I mean, it's not even like they've done it deliberately to make it look shit. It just is. It's just not very good. And for the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe that we always talk about, and the glory days of Princess Switch and all that stuff, this is nowhere near any of that. This is like, it's not even lifestyle. It's very, very bad.
Wow.
But I did though on this week update. You know when you get listeners in the wild. Yeah, I got a message from our Twitter friends, Jess, just asking the simple question: is Nick Cage a vampire? And I thought, well, there's no way on earth that is going to come from anywhere else other than listening to that episode about conspiracies. So, by some miracle, the conspiracy episode has got us a new listener. So there we are. Hello.
Excellent. Love it. Love it. In regards to Christmas pap, last night we watched Christmas by Chance, which is the owner of a struggling gift shop hired by a famous entrepreneur to organise a romantic marriage proposal for his socialite girlfriend. And the whole film is some, like, what's the milk toast dude who is hiring a woman who runs a gift shop to buy him gifts to give to this supermodel girl. And like through the whole film, it's all setting up to him proposing to this woman. And literally, right at the last minute, he doesn't propose and then gets together with the gift shop girl. And like, they get together and fall in love. And I'm like, literally an hour ago, you were proposing to somebody else, you couldn't. But obviously, it's magical and wonderful because it's Christmas, so anything shit seems to fall by the wayside, doesn't it? It was appalling, absolutely appalling.
Will that Amelia Clark one make it on your rotation, Stu?
Well, the one that me and Andy went on a date to see.
Yeah.
Last Christmas. Yeah. I mean, I love that film, and so did he, and he can argue as much as he wants.
I didn't.
He sat there with a massive smile on his face for the whole time. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple, mainly because there were just couples in there and us. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm not going to watch it again this year because we've already watched it the last 2 years in a row, and it can't get spoiled. It can't enter the end of the danger zone. So it's on the rotation of 5, definitely.
I will never forget the intake of when the penny finally drops in the audience when the twist happens. It's not spoiling it because it's a 5-year-old film at this point, Stu.
Not that old. No, don't ruin it for people.
Fuck them, it's shit. When they find out he's been dead throughout the whole film, the sharp intake of breath throughout the audience was incredible.
And me.
Through the entire film, I was like, well, like it's quite obvious he's dead from the beginning. We know he's dead. I assumed it was very much in the advertisements that this guy's dead and he falls in love, but obviously not. But it was just incredible that so many people seemed to be stunned by this news that was quite obvious.
Oh dear. People don't have the nous that you have, Andy, for these things, sadly.
This is it.
See, he was trying to pick these little holes in it. This is what the problem was. I was just letting the joy wash over me.
Oh my God, I fucking found the film. It's called Christmas at Grand Valley.
That does sound familiar.
Burnt out from the hubbub of the Chicago gallery world, artist Kelly, who's Danica McKellar, returns home to the picturesque Grand Valley just in time for Christmas. Maybe her favourite town's shining season will invigorate her love of art and guide her down the next path. Leo, businessman and all-star dad to his children, struggles to balance his time. This holiday season. When he is assigned to review a hotel in Grand Valley for its value, he sees it as a perfect opportunity for a Christmas family vacation. It isn't long until Kelly and Leo's worlds collide. As Kelly re-experiences her favourite Grand Valley traditions with Leo and his children, she begins to find her way back to a passion for art.
Look at the poster. She's wearing a red jumper and Jim's wearing a green. Incredible. Right, I suppose we better get on with the room anyway, hadn't we? So we are here to discuss a Wiseau Films production starring Tommy Wiseau, written by Tommy Wiseau, directed by Tommy Wiseau, and produced by Tommy Wiseau. Hi, babe. I have something for you. John returns to hand his future wife, Lisa, a new red dress. She goes to try it on. Wow, you look so sexy, Lisa. At no point in this film does he call her fiancé. It is always future wife and future husband throughout the whole thing.
You know why?
Doesn't know how to speak English, I'm guessing?
No, because he wouldn't have anything other than English spoke, and fiancé is French.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Wow. Do
you know how long it took me? Like, it took me ages to text you guys to ask about this dubbing. I was adjusting the sound. I was adjusting the video and the audio at the same time. I was like balancing off the two. I was like, I just can't get it to work. Oh, man. What the hell was going on with that? That was ridiculous.
It's how you make a Hollywood movie, according to Tommy Wiseau. He just couldn't seem to grasp that his actual like voice on film didn't work at all, so he ended up having to re-record everything. Every line of Tommy's dialogue is done in ADR, so nothing is done on set, and like it doesn't help the film. Because I always find that when you get ADR in any film, whether it's an independent film or a blockbuster, you know when it's ADR because that person isn't looking at the camera and you can see their jaw isn't moving. Like you can just tell it's ADR, and well, that's that. And this is the entire film, so it's just horrific. Then Denny pops his head around the door. He's some weird little gimp who lives downstairs. Johnny says he's going to take a nap, and Denny asks, "Can I join you upstairs?" Lisa laughs him off and says she's going to join Johnny. They then walk off upstairs. Then Denny follows about 20 seconds later. Eventually, they turn to piss off, and he takes the hint and says he's got homework to do anyway. We get the first sex scene on 5 minutes 27, which goes on until 8 minutes 30. Nearly 3 minutes of the film are credits, 2.5 minutes of plot, quote unquote, and then 3 minutes of sex scene. Outstanding work.
Yeah, it really was something, wasn't it? That I'm sure. Well, you've got a lot more to say before we, because there's a lot more sex in this film. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, we'll get to that. During the sex scene, for some reason, Johnny has positioned himself quite high up on Lisa, so I can only assume he's just rubbing his cock against her stomach, because there's just no way that he's like entering her from that angle. It's just utterly bizarre. The morning after, Johnny is at work and Lisa's mom pops around. She comes in, sits down, and Lisa says to her that she wants to split up with Johnny. She doesn't love him anymore. Lisa's mom tells Lisa that she's an idiot. Johnny is a good man. He works hard. He's going to buy her a house. He's getting a promotion soon. He bought Lisa a car, jewels, clothes, everything. The whole premise of this film is that Johnny is a really good guy. The amount of times that people say, "Oh, but Johnny's a good guy. Johnny's done this. Johnny's..." like, I'm certain that when Tommy Wiseau wrote this script, he accidentally put Tommy in there a few times. Like, they had to change it afterwards just to make sure that, no, it's definitely the character. Lisa's mom was in the room for all of 80 seconds before she has to leave. This film just seems to be people popping in and leaving quite a lot.
It reminds me a bit like Rainbow. You know, when the trio from... Did they live right next door, Rod, Jen and Freddie? I can't remember.
I believe so. It's been a while though, yeah.
But they just used to pop in and just say hello and then just walk out again for no reason at all. And obviously there's other shows other than Rainbow. And I think these two things have been taught in the same breath before. But it reminds me of a kids' TV show that it's that live plot-wise.
Really is, yeah. Lisa calls her bit on the side Mark, who then goes around to her house. Lisa tries to seduce Mark, who reminds her that Johnny is his best friend. Lisa says forget about Johnny. Mark then proceeds to get balls deep in Lisa on the staircase of all places. We know from the previous scene that the staircase leads directly into the bedroom. So why they couldn't take the extra 8 steps up is beyond me. So 1645 to 1933, this sex scene lasts for. We get quite a lot in not a lot of time. Their post-sex talk is all about Johnny and how much of a great guy he is. Johnny, being the great future husband, goes to get Lisa a dozen red roses in my absolute favourite scene in any film. The speed at which they talk. It has to be seen to be believed, this scene does. And I think if you go on YouTube and type in, The Room florist scene, you will understand why I adore this. The florist who says to Johnny, "Oh, I didn't recognise you." Who the fuck looks like Tommy Wiseau? Who else could you have confused him with? Is it because he was wearing sunglasses you just didn't know who he was? And then he just pets the dog and fucks off. I love it. I genuinely love this scene. It's bananas.
Isn't it weird though in that scene that like it almost takes him as long to park the car as to do the transaction? he proper crawls into the space and then like jerks forward a little bit and then like to get into the space. And then all Sam said was about this. She was like, "Why is he dressed like the Undertaker?" I was like, that was her entire comment about it.
Yeah. Where was I? Back at the apartment, Lisa is ordering some food and Denny pops around again. Denny tells Lisa that she looks beautiful and asks if he can kiss her. He then says he has to go within literally 20 seconds of arriving. Everyone who goes round only stays for a couple of minutes, then they shoot off. Then Johnny arrives home. Lisa asks him, "Did you get the promotion?" Johnny, "Nah." And he slumps off to sit down. Lisa joins him on the settee. "Oh, you didn't get it, did you?" Like, he's literally just told you he didn't get the fucking promotion and you're asking him again. Lisa fixes Johnny a drink to help him relax. "But I don't drink, you know that." He laughs at the end of every sentence, just randomly. And I don't know why.
It's the way he does it though. It's like it's not like a Tim Howard tick or anything. It's like ha ha ha. It's like devilish, but just it's not even creepy. It's just odd.
Well, it's just a simpleton, isn't he? Let's be honest. Johnny and Lisa get plastered. 25:48 to 27:12, we get the third sex scene. There have been so many sex scenes in this film. They actually use reshoots from the first sex scene.
I thought that might
Third
be the
one.
case. I thought I've seen that arse bounce like that before.
Yeah, absolutely. So in under 30 minutes, we have had 8 minutes and 19 seconds of universally awful sex scenes. Over a quarter of this film has been sex scenes. So, Matt, how are you feeling in the first half an hour of this masterpiece?
I mean, it was hilarious, and like you forgive absolutely everything that's awful about it because of how funny it is and how laughable it is. Like everything from the amount of like groaning and grunting in the sex scene to like the sheer amount of really weird. It felt like there was like when they were kissing, like any combination of people that were kissing were like kissing at a distance from each other, even though their lips touched. And they were like the second one with Mark, like they were kissing each other's necks for an eternity to the point where they would have given themselves a chafe, and they were still grunting and groaning, and it was just the weirdest. It was not to mention then the like rip off of Boys to Men for every scene. To the point where, like, later on, like, it looked like they were going to have sex. And I said, nope, no sex is coming here because they haven't hit the music. And I was exactly right.
It is an awful parade of, like, sub-90s R&B cack, isn't it, the music in this film?
Absolutely.
Terrible. Stu, I mean, you've got to be loving this, surely.
This is the problem. When I was, I mean, I as soon as you said, yeah, we give us the itinerary for the rest of the year, and this was on there, I thought, I cannot wait again to watch this. So I think this is the 5th time ever. I mean, obviously, when we've talked about it in the past, that I watched it at uni because we'd all heard about it somehow in the early days of torrents, and it was up there. And it was like, you can't quite believe what you're seeing. But now watching it again, and every time I watch this film, it gets better and better. It really shouldn't do. It defies all logic of any kind. It's not. I mean, the fact that it's listed on the alternative service as a comedy now, it was never meant to be a comedy. You can clearly see that it was not. But it's a masterpiece of shitness. It really is.
Yeah.
And the Boys to Men thing is spot on. I mean, I was trying to think of what this reminds me of, and it is. I'm not going to sing Boys to Men. That'd be an all-time low for us. But I think that the fact that we've got this far in, and we haven't even mentioned the fact that you see his little Tommy at one point as well, and he doesn't even care.
I think he's just happy to be seen, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you say like it wasn't meant to be a comedy. It's quite weird because he's kind of reframed it in that he always knew it was going to be a comedy, but there's absolutely no way because there are no jokes in this film. the comedy doesn't come from the script or anything that they do that they're supposed to do. All the comedy very much comes from the other side of things, the camp, kitschy nonsense of it, doesn't it? There's no way this was ever intended to be a comedy, was there?
I mean, if it was, to give him the benefit of the doubt, which, I mean, they talk about it in The Disaster Artist and other things about this film, this situation and Tommy himself, that no one knows who he is. No one knows where he came from. No one knows where his money comes from. Apparently, he made his money selling leather coats in Korea. I mean, it's such an enigma that he made this. He funded the film himself because it was turned down in record time from all sorts. And even with all of that, taking that all away, if he was some kind of genius visionary that he thought, I want to make the worst film ever, unintentionally, but intentionally, I mean, he deserves an Oscar of all of its own, but it's clearly not the case, is it? He's a lunatic who's made a shit film that's unintentionally funny.
Lisa's mom pops around once again. Lisa tells her mom that there's a party for Johnny next week. Then Lisa's mom talks about how her brother wants a share of her house. Then she says, no one wants to help me, and I'm dying. I definitely have breast cancer. To which Lisa replies, don't worry about it. And then the breast cancer thing is never brought up again in the entirety of this film. Lisa tells her mom that Johnny got drunk last night and hit her. Her mom doesn't believe her, then Lisa's mom has to leave. And I remember the first time I saw this film and the breast cancer thing happened. And I laughed because it was just so completely out of the blue. But okay, so that's where this film's going. It's going to be about like Lisa and Johnny's relationship with, you know, trying to stay together with the mom dying. No, none of that. Like literally, that's the only time it ever gets mentioned in this entire film. What a strange fucking aside to put in a movie. Then we have a random couple just randomly appear in Johnny's apartment. We get a minute or so of kissing, and then the woman gives the guy a blowjob where he pulls the most comedic face ever. Lisa and her mom then return, and we find out the couple are Mike and Michelle. They leave, and then Denny arrives. Oh, they just come completely out of nowhere. We've never met them. We don't really get introduced to them until he's thrown his seed down the back of her throat. Like, there's just literally utter bafflement at this point. Because they don't really have that big a role in the rest of this movie either. So it feels like he just kind of wanted to put somebody, as you put it in that text earlier, Matt, gurning at the camera. I don't know what the point in this was at all.
I thought I'd missed a scene. I was like, have I missed something? Why are these people getting it on in the room? Like, I said to Sam, have I missed something? She was like, I don't think so. I was like, I'm too busy like opening packs on the FIFA app on my phone or something. And I was like, thought I'd missed something, but nope, it was just that's how it was meant to be.
I mean, if you put some kind of like bawdy music over the top of it, and that kind of gurning face he pulls, it could very much be something like from Benny Hill or from Porky's or something like that.
It's a confessions moment, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Just weird as anything.
Did you see that Robin Astor tweeted out about Terry Venables earlier?
Just to say,
he put something else. It was how he worked with one of his old friends or something. I don't know if I'll find it again. It was of all the things. I mean, that actually hit me quite hard. That news when I saw it pop up on the Athletic app, and I thought, I mean, Terry Venables for us. I mean, this is getting the most sidetrack we've ever had, but. I thought that is really sad, and then you realise that the guy was 80 years old.
I thought he was already dead. Yeah, so I wasn't that shocked. I was more shocked that he was alive yesterday than he was dead today, to be honest.
Sorry to hear about Terry Venables, a great player, manager, and supporter of my mercurial friend Stan Bowles, also the co-creator of 70s TV show Hazel. R.I.P. Eltel.
How weird is that?
Not even about him.
Very bizarre. After Denny arrives, there is another conversation about what a great guy Johnny is. Then Lisa's mom has to leave again. We're on the roof for the first time. Chris R arrives. He threatens Denny, who owes Chris R money for drugs. Chris R pulls a gun. Luckily, Mark and Johnny arrive just in the nick of time and restrain Chris R and drag him away. They literally take him downstairs for the police to come, and then they're back on the roof within seconds. So it feels like they've just kicked him out onto the streets and not actually done anything with it. Chris R had a gun as well and did nothing to fight these guys off. It was so bizarre. Then we get it. I did not hit her. It's not true. Oh, shit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Back on the rooftop again, Mark asks Johnny if women enjoy cheating as much as guys do. Mark tells Johnny a story about a girl he knew who had a load of guys on the go, and then one of them beat her up and put her into hospital. Haha, what a funny story, Mark. What are you laughing at? It's like that.
I thought you were doing the Oscar Pistorius court transcript at first, and when you were doing it with that accent.
Mark has to leave and Denny arrives. Johnny and Denny toss an American football around. Denny tells Johnny that he thinks he's in love with Lisa. Later on, Lisa tells Johnny that she's changed her mind about being his future wife. Johnny asks what she means. You are tearing me apart, Lisa. The argument really escalates with absolutely no aggression whatsoever. Lisa and her mother are talking whilst Johnny is eavesdropping. Lisa informs her mom that she is sleeping with someone else, and then they leave. Johnny decides to record Lisa's phone calls and plugs in a tape recorder into the back of their landline and just hits record. I'm no private eye tech whiz, but I really don't think that's how it works. Johnny's friend Peter arrives. This film just keeps randomly introducing fuckers with no explanation whatsoever. Peter leaves after a few minutes anyway. No one sticks around in this movie. On the roof, Mark goes and gets his hidden stash of weed. Mark is a grown-ass adult at this point. Why is he hiding his drugs on a roof like he's a fucking child or something? The two argue and Mark reveals that it is Lisa he's sleeping with. Peter arrives on the roof and the two argue. Mark reveals to Peter that he's sleeping with Lisa. This is the scene when you really notice that they're not actually on that rooftop. They walk into the stairwell and go down, except they're on the same level when they enter. It's like they don't go lower as they're walking down the staircase. It's such a weird decision that they had because they didn't even film that in a studio setting. That was filmed in an alleyway next to a studio. So if it was in a studio, they might think, okay, we don't want any rain to fall on us while we film. I get it. But no, it was literally in an alleyway with a green screen, and then they'd built this set in front of it. Because that's how you make an American movie, according to Tommy Wiseau. So weird. Like every choice Tommy Wiseau makes as a director, none of it makes any sense. In the slightest. In the next scene, Johnny, Peter, Denny are all wearing suits, and then Mark arrives to the apartment. He's cleanly shaven. It serves absolutely no basis to any storyline plot whatsoever. In the real world, though, Greg Sestero had been offered a role, I think it was in a Puppet Master sequel, for which he needed to have his beard. He told this to Tommy, and Tommy wouldn't let him sort of work both films at once. So Tommy made him shave his beard for the film because apparently the last-minute script rewrite called for him to have a shave. But much like the mother's cancer, he never plays any part in the film again after this. Then he asks if they want to toss the ball around. Peter says, no, not in my suit. The boys mock him and call him a chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
Yes, like a budgerigard.
Yeah, I wondered if this is where Arrested Development got their wandering joke about chickens from.
It probably is, isn't it?
Yeah, I did wonder if that's what it is. Whilst tossing the ball around, Peter falls over and is never seen from again. That's an hour. Stu, how are you getting on?
I mean, I tried not to have a drink watching it this time, but I couldn't help myself. And so, I mean, bearing in mind I was watching this completely on my own. I did consider asking Ethan about if he wanted to watch it, and then when I started watching, I thought he'd probably be awkward as fuck as a 12-year-old boy watching this with his dad. I mean, that's the point, Matt. You watched it with your wife. Did you feel uncomfortable watching these terrible sex scenes that had gone on?
She was laughing so much, it really took the edge off. She was literally like in literal tears of laughter, finding it hilarious. So yeah, it took any even when the 90s nipple came out.
Yeah,
It sapped it out.
Very 90s nipple. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing a bit, even how he falls exactly where the camera is as well. And even the fall is shit.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
So apparently the Tux scene they were supposed to have gone to a funeral, and then that scene was just cut out. So it makes perfect sense. But again, you cut an actual plot point out and then just keep everything else in. But why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, how are you doing?
I mean, I didn't. There were certain points where I thought, oh, this is going to take like a more dark and sinister turn. Like when we see the gun, and when I thought it was going to become a murder film when he like looks like he's going to throw him off the roof, and then goes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and he goes, oh, it's okay. He's literally just tried to kill you. It wasn't even like he's going to push him and he nearly falls over. He literally grabs him and goes to try and force him off the roof. I was just like, God, when will this end? Like, this is it. It was taking its sweet time at this point, I must admit.
Because we haven't had one for a while, we do get another sex scene between Mark and Lisa. Later that evening, Johnny arrives back home. Lisa has invited all of his friends around for a party. Lisa invites everybody up to the rooftop for some fresh air. When they all leave, she stops Mark and they start to kiss in the now empty apartment. Some random fella comes back into the party and catches Mark and Lisa and shouts at them. He tells Lisa, "Do you know what you're doing? You'll destroy Johnny. He's very sensitive." From what I gather, that random guy who comes in and stops them was supposed to be Peter, but for some reason Peter couldn't return to film extra days, so they just picked some random dude that was never seen from before, and we're now supposed to understand why he's there. Later up on the rooftop, an entirely different rooftop to the one we've seen throughout this film, half a dozen times, Johnny announces that they're expecting a baby. Lisa then tells Michelle and this random chud from the last scene that she's not really pregnant. She only told Johnny that to make it interesting. As the night wears on, Mark and Lisa start getting very close, kissing and canoodling in front of everybody. Johnny confronts Mark. There's some pushing and shoving, and Johnny says, "You betrayed me, you chicken. Chip, 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 chip. Everybody betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world." And then Johnny fucks off upstairs. Everybody leaves. Johnny refuses to come out of the bathroom, so Lisa calls Mark around. Johnny gets mad and plays the recording he's made of their phone calls. Lisa shrugs and tells Johnny that she's leaving him. Lisa leaves and Johnny loses his shit, starts throwing everything around the house. Tears the dress that he bought Lisa from the start of the film, writhing around on the floor with it pressed against his groin. He then grabs a gun and blows his brains out. Lisa and Mark find Johnny's body. Mark calls Lisa a bitch and takes his life. Denny then appears and tells both Mark and Lisa to leave. The end. Matt, I mean, that's a wild third act, isn't it? What happens there?
The trashing of the room scene was, again, I thought like my VLC got itself into 0.75 speed or something, because it was the most rage-filled like outburst at about half speed. It was ridiculous how he just kind of gently threw things off, and like I don't know, it was just bizarre. But then he was almost like writhing around like he was getting an orgasm from the dress, though, which I didn't know if that was an intentional creative decision or not. But, like, gosh, oh god, and then like when he shoots himself, I won't laugh at it. When he shoots, when he shoots himself, and there's like
the slow-mo,
and there's like no blood, and then when they come in, like all of a sudden he's bleeding from the mouth, like he's like bit his lip, and then it's just it's the strangest, and then it ends. I was like, oh my god, it just ends. This is we've learned nothing. No one's had their comeuppance. This is awful. The victim is the one who dies. This is like he's the one who should have the happy ending. No, he just blows his brains out.
Mm. Yeah, in the disaster artist, I think, if I remember right, it's in the film and it's definitely in the book. After he shoots himself, he then starts groaning and moaning, pressing the dress against his dick as well. It's like he has to be told by the others, like, you shot yourself, you're dead. You can't keep groaning and like nutting into this fucking dress. Like, that's not how it works. So I think that's why when we see him afterwards, obviously they've made an edit, they've cut out some bits because he just would not stop doing it, according to Craigslist. Stu, what did you think about the ending of this film?
I mean, it makes Lisa's the villain of the piece. This is what it says. All women are evil. This is what the point of the film is.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, I think that Tommy hates women, and this is how he gets it over to the rest of the world.
Yeah, she corrupted his best friend with a 90s tits, and she ruined his life, made him kill himself. And mum had breast cancer, and she was trying her best, and everything's against Lisa.
Yeah,
and she's literally tore him apart. It's that's all we've learned today. But even there's been no kind of effect shot whatsoever, obviously, other than the CGI on the roof.
Yeah.
But why that he chose to do that kind of 80s music video kind of slow motion of the gunshot when he's falling backwards. I mean, I was in tears watching it last night. Even though I was seen it so many times, I was in tears again. I thought it is the most unintentional comedy ever made.
Well, when was the last time you watched The Disaster Artist?
I've only seen it once. I watched it the last time, the day before the Disaster Artist came out.
Right, okay. You haven't seen it, have you, Matt, The Disaster Artist?
No, but I'm going to watch it as quickly as I can.
Yeah, you definitely should. This is brilliant. But so you mentioned the scene about tearing him apart, literally. That was his ode to James Dean. You know, that the powerful James Dean moment where his parents in Rebel Without a Cause, I think it was, were tearing him apart, and he shows that aggression. That was what Tommy Wiseau thought he was doing in his mind because of that scene when he did that. One of the things that I thought was really good from Tommy Wiseau, he said nobody will buy a ticket to this film unless he gets his arse out, which is why I think he was rubbing his dick against her stomach. So he was high enough that we could see his arse. So that was all for us. He did it just for the audience to make sure that they would stay tuned in. But what an incredible feat of work this film is. I genuinely don't think anyone could have made this film on purpose. I think if anyone wanted to make a bad movie that had these comedic aspects, it just wouldn't work. The fact that this doesn't know that it's funny makes it so much better than anything else. Like, spoof doesn't work when you're spoofing a comedy because it doesn't quite hit right. So this just works perfectly because it doesn't do that, because I think it's quite earnest, but it's absolutely dog shit at the same time. And I think that's why it works quite well.
I mean, you look at all the things like the Asylum films that we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And the infamous one, like Snakes on the Train, and that excellent quote of your mum's cunt smells like carpet cleaner. Other than that, there's nothing else that gets close to this. And the Asylum films are meant to be shit. That's the whole point of them. But none of them, like you are right, none of them come close to this.
No. I mean, there's one that I'm going to mention in the latter part of the episode where there's a few who try, but there's a few who, don't try, but succeed. But I do think that whenever a film tries to be a cult film, it just fails. And you can't make a cult film. A cult film has to be accepted by the cult. I think that's how it works. And some people, they do try their hardest to make it fit, and it doesn't always work like that. So I'm not going to do the budget and box office stuff on this because we all know that it bombed, but it's gone on to have this just incredible life afterwards. Like Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero have travelled the world off the back of this movie. I don't know if they still do, but the Prince of Wales Theatre in London used to do a monthly showing of The Room, to which they would show up and toss an American football around with the fans who'd just been to see the film. It's incredible that the life this film has gone on to have, and it's become a massive hit, completely in spite of itself. I don't think anyone else would quite have been able to get away with it like these guys have. It's just the most surprising success story that I think there's ever been in the film industry. So the scores on this one, like, you know, they're going to be low. So Stu, out of 10, out of 100, what do you reckon?
I mean, I know on IMDb it's a 3 because I had to look it up because I couldn't believe it. I've never looked on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm guessing that's the thing. It could easily, I mean, even looking on the IMDb audience scores and things, you can't give it a good score because it's shit. But you can give it a 1. That's the lowest you can give it. But at the same time, for enjoyment, it's a 10 every single time. So I have absolutely no... I mean, I'm guessing that the critics will slam it. It'll be like in the worst ones, like 10 or 11% or something like that. Audience, I've got no idea. It could be the same. It could be 90. I don't know.
Matt, any ideas?
I reckon critically is around 15 to 20%, but I reckon the audience is like 70 to 75 because I think people will vote with their keyboards and how much they love it in spite of itself. So I think, with it being a cult, as they say it is, I reckon that could be the case.
Yeah, you're very much right in that. It is split pretty much. So the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is a 47. So people love it, people hate it, and I get it because it's a terrible film, but it's an enjoyable experience regardless. I think a critic is obviously going to look at the quality of the film, and let's be honest, there is no quality to this movie. It's got 24%, which is surprisingly high, but at the same time, there's only been 33 reviews accepted on Rotten Tomatoes of it. All of the top critics have given it a bum score. All of the reviews that have given it a positive are done in like 2022 or 2015, and it's all very much... So Kurt Loder of Reason Online, what puts The Room in a class of its own is it's it is over-abundant idiot. I am really struggling to get my words around this. It's a bit nosy. Should have picked a different one. So Kurt Loder, what puts The Room in a class of its own is its overabundant idiocy. While you're still gasping at one of the film's moronic lines or vagrant plot notes, another one rises up to smack you in the head. So all of the reviews are, this film is terrible, but it's a good, fun nonsense. That's as good as it gets, really, for this movie. So you can see why it's got a low score, but it does have some score. The Room on IMDb's got a 3.6. So again, most of the reviews are a 1 because it is inept, but you're going to get quite a few 10s as well, just throwing it in that, it's a great bad movie night kind of a movie. So it gets away with it on those scores. So this might be the most difficult good, bad and crazy of all time, but Matt, do you want to start us off with what you've got?
I mean, the good is, I suppose, the feeling that you get when you come away from it. Like, it unintentionally puts like a massive smile on your face, which is a good thing, I suppose. Obviously, the bad thing is its mere existence in the annals of filmmaking, I guess. Like, there's very little that's redeemable about it. Like, even if, I use the critique of like a Channel 5 film or Channel 5 TV looking kind of thing to like suggest there's something looks a little hokey or looks a little cheap. Like, this makes anything on Channel 5 be like Christopher Nolan IMAX blockbuster, do you know what I mean? It just looks so appalling. Everything about it looks terrible.
Yeah.
The crazy, I think, is the researching into the effects kind of on society this film's had. It's like its reach is obscene. Like, I just can't believe how much of a reach this film has had. To the point where, like, I can't wait till he comes around here in any capacity, if there's on an anniversary or something like that. If a cinema like, like an Everyman or someone like that will play it, I'll 100% be there.
Absolutely. Stu, what have you got?
It's gonna echo it, really. I mean, the good is, I think the good is the fact that we got to see it, because normally, I mean, the fact that we've done this for 3 years or so. I haven't laughed as much in an episode. I am drinking McEwen's Champion as well, to be fair, but I haven't laughed as much on an episode as I have in this, because I genuinely love this film more than a lot of others. And it's not because it's good, because obviously it's not, and that is the fact that it is really shit. But it is the fact that if you can't watch this and smile, then you're dead inside, or you're taking yourself way too seriously, because it's one of the most perfect bits of nonsense ever made. And I'd rather watch this every single day of my life than watch Best Christmas Ever again. and that's our vibe. That's our time of year. That we love these things. And that film is awful. This film is awful, but in an unintentionally hilarious way. So the good is the fact that it exists, and the fact that we can see. And I got my hopes up at the start, thinking, oh, it's been remastered, when no, it was the first scene that was high definition. If we get a 4K version of this, then God help the world, because I mean, you're gonna see, like, it's like when Coronation Street went into HD, and they had to build a new studio because it was so bad. And amazingly, that I saw a video the other day of one of them, them people who go around abandoned buildings and stuff. That it's still there. Granada Studios is still there. So the original Coronation Street is still where it was before they moved to Salford. So you can go and wander around the ghost town of the old Coronation Street set.
Never say about the time I went to Granada Studios, and I was really young at the time, and Hayley walked in, the actress that played Hayley, but I didn't know if she was legitimately a transsexual or not. So I was a bit like, I was just looking, going, "Oh, are you a transsexual?" And I can't. I was. It was like a school trip in like primary school. That's how young it was, and I was just really confused by the whole thing. But it's interesting to know that all that stuff's still there. That's bizarre.
Yeah, we went with copies. So I think that was the year. I'll tell you when it was. It was 99, because I bought. My uncle was one. We took 2 coaches. So my uncle was one of the coach drivers. So some of us went to Granada, some went to Alton Towers, and there was other things as well on Activities Day. And Goldie was there as well. We went to Granada Studios, and my uncle was the coach driver for us, and he was having a fag with our maths teacher, who'd been assigned to go with us that day.
For our American listeners, he means a cigarette.
Yeah. And for some reason, Goldie bought the sugar-free polos, which, if you have too many, they obviously turn laxative, don't they? So yet again, there's your shit story for the week. You know what's going to happen. But I had to borrow money off the maths teacher to buy a little Qui-Gon Jinn figure, because episode 1 had just come out, and they had it in the shop, and I didn't want anything Coronation Street related at all. I just wanted Qui-Gon. So there we are. I don't know how we got on that. But yeah, the fact all the amount of stuff that comes out of it. I know Matt said about the reach and the celebrity fans of this and everything, but things like the Billboard story, and it was just his face, and he's only in it for about 40 minutes anyway. He looks like he's got a lazy eye, and that Billboard was a tourist attraction in LA for no reason whatsoever. When the film was only shown for a handful of times in one cinema, the whole thing is just utterly bizarre. And I don't think it'd be as good if it was just a bad film. I think the whole thing around it and what's come afterwards, and the fact we have got The Disaster Artist, which is mental in itself, that it spawned an actual Oscar winner. Did it win? I'm sure it did win.
Oh, it's definitely nominated. And I think Franco won a Golden Globe at least, because he took Tommy on stage with him, and Tommy went to fucking talk. And then and he's like, no, you stay there.
But it was adapted screenplay, I'm sure it was.
I think you're right, yeah.
So for what it spawned, and then you go back and watch it and you think, yeah, this is actually, it's a work of art. An intentional work of art, but it's a work of art all the same.
Well, it's outsider art, isn't it? Very, very, very outsider art. Yeah. So I'm going to start with the crazy on mine. So I'm looking at IMDb trivia, and like there is some mental stuff on here. So Tommy didn't quite know how to make a film, so he had a HD camera and he had a 35mm camera on set. They had to build a structure to hold both cameras at once, so they were filming the same. But he doesn't realise that film and digital recording doesn't work the same. So it needs different lightings, it needs different angles. So that's one of the ones that I've passed over because of how ridiculous this other one is. Tommy Wiseau is so fascinated with vampires and enjoys cultivating the impression that he is one. Greg Sestero recounts how early in production, Wiseau approached cinematographer Raphael Samaja with a new scene. I want my car to fly off the roof into the sky. It was just a possible side point plot, but maybe Johnny is a vampire. Eventually, Wiseau drops it. So he was making this melodrama film that was all about this really good guy who got screwed over by a woman. And he was just going to drop in there that he was a vampire. Absolutely no reason other than it's Tommy Wiseau and he's a bit fucking mental with it. So that's my crazy. My bad. I don't know if this is actually bad because I still kind of love it in spite of it. This is one of the best bits of IMDb trivia I have ever read. It is a spoiler one. And it says, nothing in between the second sex scene and the birthday party has any effect on the plot. Because it's kind of true. Like that sex scene ends about 10 minutes in and then nothing happens in this film until the final 10 minutes. But I also, as a film, it's terrible because of that. But as somebody who enjoys bad movies, it's kind of brilliant at the same time. So I don't know if I want to say it's my bad really, or if that's just part of one of the reasons that I love this movie.
I screen grabbed one. I just remember what you said about IMDb. Again, warning, spoilers. So Denny was originally named Billy, Lisa's gay 18-year-old brother who is attracted to Johnny. In the scene where he's rescued from Chris R., who in this draft is a pimp named Jimmy. He admits to being a male prostitute. Claudette refers to Billy as my son the homo and makes several homophobic remarks through the script. Jimmy is later killed off screen with the implication that Johnny, who reveals himself to be a vampire with superpowers when rescuing Billy from Jimmy, drained his blood while he was in police custody. Johnny, Mark, Billy and Peter attend his funeral, also off screen, which is why they're wearing the tuxedos.
What more could be said?
Why not, eh?
The fact that was like an original idea that was going to be in the film and then it ended up being something so completely different. It just speaks volumes of the man, doesn't it? It's just ridiculous. So, but good. Right, so I've mentioned it a few times, but I listened to a podcast called How Did This Get Made? And it's about watching terrible films and just having a laugh at it. And this episode with The Room, I think was the first time I saw it. It was 12 years ago. I think I've watched this film pretty much every year since. So I've watched this film a dozen times and I still laugh and still enjoy it, still love it. And it's still something that everybody seems to adore in spite of itself. It's something that there's a whole community that has been built up around this movie in a way that no other film has done. Like, there's no other film out there. I mean, even like big blockbuster franchises that people adore and go for, that becomes a little bit cynical and a bit nasty when you don't love the same thing that somebody else does in Star Wars, for example. But this is one of the most positive communities around the most fucking weird film of all time. And I kind of love that. I think that is just such a magical story that would never have happened had it not been for this absolute batshit maniac making this movie. And there's all these stories, and I don't think anyone will ever know who the real Tommy Wiseau really is. I mean, Greg doesn't even know, and he's his best friend for however many years they've been together. And it's just incredible. I love it. And I would genuinely recommend anybody who has a passing interest in fun movies to watch this. It's obviously not for everybody. It's not for the general public who only go and watch 4 films a year. But I think if you've got more than a passing interest in cinema, generally speaking, you should absolutely watch this movie. I honestly would recommend people to watch this because it is fun, regardless of how absolutely terrible it is. And I don't think you can see how great film can be unless you can see how absolutely awful it is as well. And this is the one end of the stick compared to the rest. So, yeah, it's brilliant. So, did you enjoy the film, Matt?
I enjoyed the feeling it gave me in terms of watching it because I had a good laugh with it. Did I enjoy it as a film? No, it's fucking terrible. So it's hard to say, really.
Yeah. Stu?
100%. I said earlier, it gets better every time I watch it, and I can't watch it every year because I don't want it to dilate the fun. But just watching it, I mean, in a weird way, I was hoping that this would be one of the films affected by the incident earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But sadly, it wasn't, and I remembered every beat of it all. But knowing what's coming next is almost quite as enjoyable. So, yeah, absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I did too. I laughed so much at some of the scenes. And even though it's 100 minutes, it probably took me about 200 minutes to watch it because I kept rewinding parts to watch them again and laugh again. And there aren't many films I can say that about, especially having watched them, over 10 times at this point. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the experience, if not the actual mechanics of how a film was made. Would you put Nick Cage in this film though, Stu?
I mean, yes, but only in the vampire way. Going back to the Jess mentioned from earlier, because if you did have them as vampire brothers, and he just appeared at the end and bit him on the neck, setting up a potential sequel, and then that sequel's Renfield.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. This could be the step in between Vampire's Kiss and Renfield. You've got the room in the middle.
Yeah.
Matt, would you put Cage in this?
I wouldn't, to be fair, because I think that it becomes a good actor putting a really bad performance in, as opposed to a bad actor putting a bad performance in and being hilarious. All of a sudden, it just becomes a really bad film that's not as fun because you'd actually be trying and it'd still be really shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think Cage would be very funny, especially the Crazy Cage sort of performance that we have seen him do. But you are right, it changes the dynamics of the film, doesn't it?
Especially when it's not meant to be funny.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I would. I think it's perfect in what it is with who it is. So I'd leave Cage well alone on this one. So finally, finish the sentence. If you enjoyed The Room, you may also like. Matt?
I don't have one for you. I can't think of anything that's remotely close to it. I've been racking my brains for ages trying to think about something that was anywhere near the level of awfulness that it is. I've got when I used to be in a drama thing when I was younger, we had performances that were put on that were better than this. The standards, the effects, everything. So, I mean, if you like it, seek professional help. Is my reply to that.
Stu?
In terms of, I mean, there's only one that I could think of. Going down the route of, they made this and didn't realise how bad it was or what it was going to be. And that's, and incredibly, I hadn't seen it until last year, which I don't think it's ever going to appear on Disney Plus, even though it should do. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special. Because that is, that is legitimately shit. And it's bizarre. It's like a fever dream. But the scenes in there that you look at it now and you think, I mean, I've watched it for the first time, like I just said, last year. If I watch it again, knowing that it's coming, does it take on the kind of the infamy that film's got? Maybe. Because it's just ludicrous. Or the stuff that makes no sense, like the whole Chewbacca family, it's just farcical.
Chewie's granddad watching a lap dance thing. It's just fucking weird. Yeah.
But that's the only one, because like Matt said, there's nothing like it.
I've got a few absolutely terrible films that are quite good fun to watch. I Know Who Killed Me, where Lindsay Lohan plays a stripper who gets killed, and then she doesn't get killed but comes back and starts to live with a new family where the patriarch of the family is Neil McDonough, which tells you what you need to know about who killed her. So that needs to be watched. The Wicker Man starring Nick Cage. That is up there with this in my books. I love The Wicker Man because it is absolutely awful. And the scene where he drop kicks Lily Sobieski, never not be funny to me. Incredible movie. But the one I'm going to go for is a movie called Fateful Findings. This film, it was for, I watched it for How Did This Get Made podcast. And usually that can be quite tricky to find some of these films. So you can't always get them on torrents. You can't always get them on streaming services. So I had to go to Reddit to try and find out where I could watch this movie. This movie was only available to stream on Pornhub. It's not even a porno, but that was the only place. I don't know if they funded it or something, but that was the place that you could watch this movie. The movie is a novelist tries to become a hacker to find, quote unquote, the most secret government and corporate secrets, which he plans to publish in an expose. There's a descent into drugs, underage sexual attention, murder, suicide, repressed childhood memories, teleportation, and mass suicide. It is utterly balmy, and it is very much worse than The Room in terms of production levels, but unmissably so. I think if you had fun watching The Room, you may have fun watching Fateful Findings. And also, if you're caught on Pornhub, it's a really good excuse to say, I was looking for Fateful Findings.
Yeah, that's it. I caught with Louise. Kind of caught. I found that video again the other day.
Which one's this? Sorry, remind me.
The promo from a very early episode where we were talking about music videos.
There's naked music. Yeah, Louise Nerding.
Yeah, that was the Kylie Minogue First Erection.
Yeah.
Admittal.
Wow,
good time.
Incredible.
And if you like that, go in the archives. See more about our first erections.
Amazing. Right, okay. That is not another Nick Cage film in the record book. That is something completely different. But if you've seen it, get in contact at Cage Fighting Pod on the socials or cagefightingpod@gmail.com on the emails. Please make sure you're subscribed on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. And if you'd leave us a review, we would love you forever. So, should I say thank you very much for joining us this week. We truly do appreciate your time. And for this week, Matt, would you like to say goodbye?
Take it easy, everybody. Look after yourselves. Have a profitable and most wonderful week ahead.
Stuart, would you like to say goodbye?
I can't even do any quotes because you've used them all up. Which is not fair. So yes, enjoy yourself, kids. Goodbye.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, is there anything left to slip in? That's what she said. I don't think there is. I think I've used all the good ones. So it's goodbye from me, and remember, be excellent to each other.